Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon from around the league. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, including Red Zone, the channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game. And if you add Rev TV HD to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, you'll be entered to win big weekly prizes with NFL Wildcard Mania. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, Uteb says there are more questions than answers concerning Bamsi. This as the Agriculture Minister defends its delayed opening. An F&M MP weighs in on the Bahamas' downgrade, doubts expressed over projected web shop revenue, plus a call to revitalize Jumbay Village. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12. Welcome once again to MB12 Weekend. The Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas is questioning the relationship between the College of the Bahamas and the Bahamas Agricultural and Marine Science Institute. Uteb President Mark Humes called the relationship a farce and is urging the college to refrain from committing to the institution because he doesn't want the public to believe that COB is authenticating courses there.
I'm saying it's a farce because you know, the minister had said that the courses would be run by COB faculty. We hired no new faculty for the North Andros campus. We developed no courses for Bamsi. COB cannot develop, again, without a memorandum of understanding. COB can only develop courses for COB. And so we're not mandated to develop courses for Bamsi.
Hume said, as the president of the union that represents faculty at COB, he's not aware of any requests for faculty to be transferred to North Andros campus to teach the courses. He questioned if there's some sort of backdoor deal being made without the union's or faculty's knowledge.
Who are the faculty members? You know, where are the courses coming from? Again, COB itself has an agricultural science program. An AA in agricultural science. I find it kind of strange that COB would design another course, another program for an institute like Bamsi, a competing institute that would kill its own agricultural program.
Moreover, Humes is questioning the financial sustainability of the $20 million institute. He said he's curious as to how Bamsi will pay off its $20 million debt to government. Humes said COB is a 40-year-old institution with thousands of students and it struggles to meet its financial commitments. He said he's not convinced there's a financial plan to make Bamsi a worthwhile investment.
50 students are not going to be able to support. That's not a good return on investment. So the question is, where is the government going to get the money to sustain this institute? Whether it's the limes and papaya, do we have regulation in place that would give us priority in the market? And I think when you see people talk about plans, we're saying we need to know the overall plan that's going to say Bamsi is going to be a success. Not that you have plans for buildings, architectural plan, not that you have an academic plan, but what is the financial plan that's going to say Bamsi is going to be a success?
Prime Minister Perry Christie has said that Bamsi will be a part of the University of the Bahamas. Christie has said that Bamsi will be a center for research, allowing the Bahamas to develop and determine what works best for Bahamian culture. Well, Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald isn't taking too kindly to the comments made by the UTEB president. Fitzgerald told MB12 that the relationship between COB and Bamsi is one both institutions are committed to, and he found Humes' comments in poor taste and ill-advised.
I think that's the most unfortunate, incorrect, ill-advised statement to make, and totally inaccurate. I mean, I read that this morning. I was totally really taken aback by the fact that persons would go and make comment without really doing any research.
In fact, Fitzgerald said, had Humes done his research, he would have learned that administrators at the college and Bamsi officials were working on a memorandum of understanding this week. However, he says the document is not complete.
Just this week, I met with the leaders of the College of the Bahamas, including the chairman and the acting president, along with deans of various departments within the College of the Bahamas, as well as those at Bamsi, Dr. Enyas and those. And yes, we have not finalized the memorandum of understanding, but we agree on what the memorandum of understanding will encompass. The draft is in its final stage. We reviewed it, and we expect to finalize that next week. That has not in any way hampered our advancement in what we're doing.
Fitzgerald heralded Bamsi as an opportunity to develop a new industry in the Bahamas that would expand the economy and should be embraced by all.
And this sort of comment really is unbecoming of any leader in our country, and I'm really surprised that the head of Uteb would come out and make such a statement. It just really was unbecoming of him and of that union.
The minister said he doesn't understand how the union even became involved in the matter of COB's relationship with Bamsi. And speaking of Bamsi, Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources V. Alfred Gray is defending the institution's delayed opening, telling MB12 it won't stop courses from starting. Gray said a number of issues that arose during construction of the $20 million North Andros Institute are being addressed and should be resolved in time for Bamsi to open in October.
The construction at Bamsi's site is not yet completed, and the forecast is that the site will be completed around the middle or end of October. But the incompletion of the building does not stop the opening of the school, because the government has secured alternative living accommodations, alternative teaching accommodations, and lectures are ready to go. So it will not affect the integrity of the school and the courses which are being offered because you cannot go in a certain building, because buildings have nothing to do with the contents of your education. It's what teachers teach students who are willing to learn.
Last week, Bamsi officials said classes would start this week. However, that has been delayed by another 2 weeks. A recent MB12 report revealed that the work on the Institute's student dorms, labs, and roads was behind schedule and would likely miss the government's September deadline. Gray said there are 50 students who have registered and teachers are in place to begin classes before the end of the month. He said he's not concerned that there's no building for students to learn in.
If the classes are starting on time, teachers are teaching, students are learning, the buildings will come. And I understand the criticism, and he is a politician, so I don't make anything big of that. I just want him to know that the crop failure that he and his party might be hoping for will not happen. That's to their disgust. I know that. They can't take the problem. They can't take the success of the school.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who toured the construction site earlier this week, criticized Bamsi's slow progress and demanded greater accountability for government following claims that politics played a role in the awarding of Bamsi contracts. Gray said the opposition is just trying to find something wrong with a great government initiative.
If a government as progressive as the PLP is doing this big thing out there, I got to find a way to take some of the sting out of this, because this messing up the F&M. Because the PLP has been at least doing something. And when you compare what they are doing to what the F&M never did and had never contemplated doing, that's miles ahead. And I don't disagree with him. He's got to find a way to see if he could take some sting out of this for them.
And in other news tonight, East Grand Bahama MP and Shadow Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest says the Bahamas' credit rating downgrade by one major international credit ratings agency is consistent with what the opposition has been saying all along. Last week, Moody's Investors Service took note of the country's massive debt and soft economic growth in making its decision. Dana Smith reports.
I think it's consistent with what we've been saying all along. Despite the rosy predictions that the government has been putting forward, the fact of the matter is that we know that there has been slow growth in the economy. Last year is 0.7%, down from the projected 1.7 that they had put forward. And this year, we expect the same. They've made a very optimistic projection. We have doubts that they're going to be able to make it.
Moody's recently downgraded the Bahamas from Baa1 to Baa2, citing the nation's debt and subdued economic growth. Turnquist says he was not surprised by Moody's findings, considering many Bahamians continue to struggle to make ends meet.
If we just look at the number of people who are still struggling to make ends meet, mortgage arrears continue to grow, a major challenge. Despite the failed attempt at the mortgage rescue package. The number of people who are working but still not able to meet their basic obligations, as evidenced by the number of people who are unable to pay their electricity bills and the number of students who have now transferred to the public school system, the number of people who are seeking social assistance. This all tells us that the level of activity in the economy is not as significant or as again, rosy as the government would have us believe.
Despite the downgrade in the country's credit rating, Moody's upgraded the country's economic outlook to stable from negative, giving a vote of confidence in the Christie administration's fiscal reform plans, including expenditure controls and the implementation of VAT at 7.5%. The government is hoping VAT will help pay down the country's staggering debt. The tax is something Moody's took note of in its report and praised as a key element of the Christie administration's fiscal plan. However, Turnquist says VAT benefits are questionable given the state of the economy.
If you look at it scientifically, value-added tax makes some sense. But the difficulty that I think a lot of us have is that when you're comparing apples to apples, it's fine, but we're comparing apples to oranges because we don't produce very much here. A value-added tax is a tax on value that's added. All we're doing is bringing in a good and reselling it for the most part. And so there's questionable benefit to us. Will it result in additional revenue for the government? Probably. I would hope so. We have a very slow recovering economy. And what is going to be the effect of another 7.5% tax on the average consumer? And that is the big unknown.
Turnquist said it's too early to say if the Moody's downgrade will have any negative effect, but he noted the country's investment climate is favorable and he's confident it will remain an attractive place for foreign direct investments. Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Dana Smith.